I want to say good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out this afternoon for our policy committee meeting, the first of the year. I hope everyone had a great summer, and I'm looking forward to all of us having a great year, focusing on the scholars of the district. With that being said, we're going to start the policy committee meeting with 1.01, and I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Forget so that he can elaborate on this for us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. This afternoon's policy committee will be discussing one policy, and then we'll move into how we'll structure the meetings as we move forward throughout the year. We'll share with you our plan for specific policy reviews, but I think it's really more important that we hear from the board representatives what policies you would like us to take a look at to update. So one of the policies that we're mandated to review on an annual basis is comprehensive student attendance. So policy 5100, as it stands right now, is aligned with the regulations of New York, and we are making one adjustment recommendation to the board for consideration, and that has to do with participation, it's not participation, it's attendance at events, performances, games, the drama performance. Many years ago, we had this in this policy where you had to be in good standing with attendance in order to go to the football game, in order to go to the dance that evening, in order to go to the event. We've learned that it's time for us to bring this particular policy back and really make sure that people know it's really important for students to be sitting in the classroom for instruction, and this is another way for us to do that. In the past, it was at a 93% attendance rate. Obviously, it's aligned with our eligibility policy, which is 85%, so it's very fair for our students to be able to participate. This does not prevent students from participating in in curricular activities that support their learning. We will not prevent them from going to extra help after school, but it will be specifically the events that we've defined here. So this is the one change to attendance. It is a strategy to achieve good attendance in our district, and it is holding a standard of 85% attendance for those individuals that would like to go to a game, go to the dance, go to the prom. And it gives a little bit of flexibility to the principal for extenuating circumstances.
Board members, any questions or comments in regards to what Mr. Forger just explained to us with this policy? Mr. Lamar?
Just one quickie. I did notice this. I was curious about it. It sounds like a great idea. How will this be enforced? How do you possibly, with a football game, know whether or not a student's attendance is in good standing?
We are already putting back the pre-purchase of ticket policy. So any student that would like to attend the dance, any student that would like to attend the event, the drama, whatever, pre-purchasing of tickets will be required. There will not be ticket purchases at the door.
Ms. Pinell?
I like this policy. I think I like the change. I think it will help us and parents make sure that kids are in class doing what they're supposed to be doing if they want to go to extra stuff. And I think it's fair, and I think it's within line of everything else that we're trying to do.
Any other questions? Thank you. Mr. Forger?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Howard. The next item on the agenda, it talks about identifying the specific policies that we would like to review. Investments is one policy that we are mandated to review, so that will be coming up very shortly. The Code of Conduct was already reviewed. It's not a real policy, but it is a quasi-policy that was reviewed already in August. So what Mr. McCoy and I are going to do is we're going to share with you the process we were moving towards prior to my being switched into the acting superintendent role. And I'd really appreciate being able to get back on track with the policy review. So there are two things that come into play. We currently have policies that are housed on the district website, and we have policies that are housed in board docs. That is very confusing to individuals that have to follow these policies, having them housed in two different areas. It is our request of the policy committee that you allow us to go to address that particular situation first. So Mr. McCoy is going to show you where on the district website the policies are housed that we would like to focus on first. Most of them pertain to human resources and finance.
So here on the district website, Mr. Forget, are the policies we're referring to that haven't been moved over to board docs. These particular policies in the 3000 section deal with professional employees, and these are still active policies that we need to review and then move over to board docs.
So in order to access these, you would need to know to go to the Board of Ed on that blue tab that goes across. Then from the Board of Ed, go into codes, policies, and notices. So we really need to get these moved over into board docs so that we are clearly communicating our consistent expectations. So just keep this in your mind, and I'm going to show you something else, and I'm going to tell you how we're going to get there. So these policies will become our priority to get them updated and moved over to board docs. Mr. McCoy, can we go to board docs?
So Mr. Forget, here, if you're a logged in member, members of the board or senior staff, when you log into your board docs account and you click on the policy tab that's on the top right hand side, and you pull that down, what comes up on the left is the New York State School Boards Association policy updates. It's a subscription-based service that the district subscribes to, and then NYSBA, New York State School Boards Association, 4 times annually will send us the updates to the regulations from state laws that we need for policies.
So there's a outline of the policies that they are recommending for us to consider adopting or adjusting our own policy to be aligned with. The work that we will do, so that you're aware of what we'll be doing behind the scenes, Mr. McCoy and I will be taking those policies that are sitting on our website right now that he just showed you. We will do a crosswalk between that policy and the newly created NYSBA policy that has all the updated regulation and specific information in it that should be there now. Clean those policies up before we put them into board docs so that they're already updated when we place them in. So that will be our first scope of work, is taking what's on the district's website, aligning them and reviewing anything that's in the NYSBA policy updates, get those transitioned first and cleaned up. And then we'll move the rest, and then we'll get on to a cycle of annual review and updates in a much more expedited manner. But we have some cleanup and we have some work to do, and we're being very direct and transparent with you with regards to that. If you agree with that, that's the direction by which we'll set the meetings moving forward.
Mr. Forget, about how many policies does this affect, this transfer?
I would say it's Probably between 20 and 30.
That's doable. That's not an undoable thing. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's only a couple sections that are left on the board, on the district website. There's the 3,000s, and there's a couple finance, but there's not, most of the sections that are there are empty. So we've done most of them already.
And they will be merged in order of number, or do we have to change numbers again, or how is that going to work?
I believe the numbers will change to
Yeah.
the new NISBA number.
Correct.
Questions or comments? Okay. That there being none.
Mr. Howard, just one more thing, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And are there any policies you would like us to expedite a review of?
We'll get that. I'll have conversations with the committee members, and we'll bring that forward and when we agenda set. Any other questions or comments? There being none, I'm going to move to adjourn. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you at the October meeting. Have a great, great year.
Mr. Howard, is that read and adopt on first?
I'm sorry. Mr. McCoy, that will be read and adopt. First reading and adopt.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.